everyone. We hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving, or at least got a couple days off to chill. Welcome once again to the Awkwardness Podcast, where we interview songwriters about why they started writing. They play us one of the first songs they ever wrote, and we talk about what kept them going and what they're up to now. I'm your host, Rose Sean, and my awesome co-hosts, as always, are Terence and Tony Tancredi. This has been such a wild couple of weeks. Today I'm talking to you from the Crystal Coast of North Carolina. I've been driving across the country for the last 6 days, seeing sights, visiting friends, and obviously driving some as well. So it's been interesting trying to get my podcasting chores done, but I brought all my gear, so here we are. Let me tell you about this week's guest. She's a singer, songwriter, and guitarist from Portland, Oregon, who has toured the world, headlining in Europe, and has shared a stage with the likes of Katie Lang, Alan Stone, Elle Vi, Nick Waterhouse, and Corinne Bailey Rae. She's got the most beautiful, soulful voice. I'm talking about Moorea Masa. We chat about her new album, her new husband, building a team of BIPOC femme creative collaborators, and leaning into joy. Stick around for some gorgeous a cappella stylings and Moorea's alternate definition of self-care. You may know we suffered a tragic data loss earlier this year, and Moorea's episode was one we lost, so this is actually our second try at this interview, but we're so thrilled and relieved that she was able to come back. So please enjoy our Mulligan episode with Moorea Masa.
No Little Green Men, and they deliver for Amazon Prime and UPS combined.
So they're half unionized.
Yeah.
And half not.
It's good. That's why this stuff gets to us so quick. Nobody asked. They thought they were drones, but nope.
That Senate hearing was crazy, though.
Yeah.
I didn't really see much about it.
We listened to it on the drive to Vancouver, and it was pretty crazy. I guess multiple people have seen like a black square box that's wrapped in a clear sphere.
Nice. When are we getting them on the podcast?
I mean, I've emailed, reached out, but
you
nothing.
don't email them. You have to think the thoughts.
Okay, hold on. Give me a sec.
Okay.
All right, they should be here next Tuesday.
Right.
I just think it's funny that everything is so fucked up in this country that the government's like, how do we get the heat off us? Oh, I know. Let's confess that we've been covering up aliens for decades.
Didn't the China balloon catch something, and then the government's like, oh no, now we have to tell people?
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah, TikTok's kind of like leading this whole thing.
Nice.
Oh, if it's
Go
on
TikTok.
TikTok, it must be true.
Yeah.
Hi, Moorea.
Hello.
Moorea, what's up? It's time for a redo.
Yeah.
I messed up and I caught your last episode on fire.
Oh my
and we never got
God.
to release it.
It's
and
crazy. There was so much good stuff in there.
There was
so much good
there
stuff.
was a lot of really good stuff.
How are we going to recreate it?
Well, we're not. We're
well,
gonna.
you don't remember everything you said?
Nope.
Oh,
Not a
jeez.
single
All right,
thing.
I'll just throw out my notes then.
Okay, shoot.
Well, that's okay. We're just gonna reboot.
Yeah.
So
Great.
Yeah, there we go.
It won't be Rockward.
So-
will be
It's already
Rockward.
very Rockward.
It's super Rockward.
Yeah, it's super
This is
Rockward. I'm sorry.
Rockwardness.
I'm sorry. I owe you.
You're good.
Yeah.
so much has happened since then. The last time you were here, you were wearing like a fuzzy hat and a sweater, and now it is way too fucking hot for any of that.
It's true.
You put out a song. You got married.
Yeah. I
Yes.
made a record.
Yeah.
made a whole
Yes,
record.
Made a whole record. Thank you.
Right on. Well,
Did get married also.
Yeah.
That was two massive things in the last few months.
And you moved.
Amazing.
And I moved.
Yes.
Yeah. Who told
Wow.
me all three of those things were a good idea?
at the same time.
Terrible idea.
Oh,
wow. Well, that's the river of life just keeps flowing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I'm
so-
adulting hard.
congratulations.
Yeah. I mean, your nails look fabulous.
Yeah,
Thank
they do.
you. Thank you. They need to come off. I can barely type or like do anything with them.
I
but
always
they're
wonder.
really fun.
I
Yeah.
always wonder because, I mean, do you have to kind of do like the flat finger thing?
Yeah, there's a lot of like clicking.
I heard, you were texting earlier and it was just like click, 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 click.
You should record something. You should incorporate it. Just do like have a little intro where you're just like clickety clicking your nails against something.
Yeah. The song's called Wedding Nails.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to
Appreciate
the
you.
Mulligan episode. That's what it is, right? When you get a redo.
do-over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a
The
mulligan.
redo.
Amazing.
So let's talk about your musical beginnings, and we'll pretend like we haven't heard any of this before.
Great.
How did you? You're from Portland originally, right?
Yes.
And what brought you into music in the first place? Like, when did you like first touch an instrument or think you wanted to or whatever?
Yeah, so I've been singing since I could talk. I think just before I even knew it was a thing that I could do, I just was always going around the house. Yeah, I think at one point I remember my mom coming to me and being like, "Hey, you can sing. This is what is this?" And me being like, "Wait, what? I can sing. What is that?" And my mom called my dad and was like, "Have you heard Moorea sing?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, she sings every day around the house, you know."
You're like, where you been?
Yeah. And yeah, I think that I was maybe like 6 or 7 when that happened. And I just remember that was like the moment it kind of came into conscious for me that was a thing that people do. And then I think maybe after that I started to become more aware of it, but it was just kind of always something I was always writing poems and making up songs. And yeah. And then I had my first band at 15 and I had my first voice teacher at 11, and I just kind of always have been doing it ever since. I haven't really had a thought about doing anything else, which I feel really lucky.
Yeah, that's
really
awesome.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you knew.
You were basically born into it.
And I love that.
And what were the songs you would sing around the house? Do you remember?
I would just make up songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had just like books and books of things I would write. You know, they were just like, "Mom's going to do the laundry," like, like just random, like
topical
just
stuff.
I would just
write
like
what you know.
I would just make up lots of.
I love it.
Right, what you know. That's
Was
cute.
it like inspired by any kind of music played around the house, like style wise?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, my dad is from Italy, and so my dad, his musical knowledge and things that he played was more like Pavarotti and like
Yes, wow.
But my mom listened to a lot of R&B, and so I grew up listening to like a lot of 90s R&B, like Desiree and Lauryn Hill and Erykah Badu, and that was always Aretha, like all the soul and R&B music was always around the house. So I'm sure as I started to understand what music genres were, I think I was always gravitating towards that type of music.
Oh, that's amazing.
So how did the voice lessons happen? I mean, were your folks kind of like, let's nurture this natural talent, or did you ask for it?
So I started doing dance classes at a nearby, I think it was a gym actually, but they had like dance classes that I went to.
Yeah.
And I wasn't very good at it. And I had like a dance recital. And I remember being like, I know I'm not very good I remember telling my teacher one day, like, I'm not very good at this dance thing, but like, let me sing for you. And I sang for him, and he was like, "Oh, yeah, you're a good singer. Like, let me introduce you to somebody." So he introduced me to my voice teacher.
Nice.
And yeah, I think I ended up singing in the dance recital.
Oh, cool.
I might have done like one thing, but then I think they ended up
Yeah.
getting me to sing.
But they still incorporated you in the recital.
That's
Yes.
Is there any videos or audio of this anywhere? Oh, I would love to hear you
no.
like as a young woman sing.
Oh, I mean, I do have lots of videos. My dad had like a old school
Of course he did.
camera, and
80s camera.
Yes,
he
camcorder.
videotaped me a lot singing.
Yeah.
I'm curious where those are. I'm sure he still has them.
They're in a
but-
box in your garage.
Yeah.
Or his garage, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
And you know what? Technically, that was your first show with backup dancers.
Yeah,
So it's not
exactly.
bad, you know?
Honestly.
That's so good.
Yeah, that was and actually my voice teacher from when I was 11, he just officiated our wedding.
Oh,
So it was very, very
that's
sweet. He's a
rad.
pastor at a gospel church. So he was the perfect person. It wasn't a religious ceremony at all, but yeah, he was.
That's so rad that you guys are still in touch.
Oh, we're still
That's
like
so
very
amazing.
close. Like, yeah.
Wow, how long was he giving you lessons for?
I think from till I was, it's hard to know because we've been really close, and I'm
Totally.
sure I was taking lessons from him in high school on, but we've just, I mean, they were definitely more than, he was also like my therapist. He was just like a confidant,
He was a homie.
Yeah, he was a
Yeah.
homie. Yeah.
Wow. Were you in the church band, or were you performing music with him in some capacity?
No.
Am I remembering that wrong?
No, I never played in the church band, but yeah, he's a very influential part of my like music upbringing. He was really, and along the lines of like I had a really rough childhood with my mom and my family, and I would kind of like go into his voice lessons, and they were kind of like a safe haven for me. And he would, an hour lesson would turn into like a 5-hour hang, and he would be listening to me. It was just like, and also the lessons were really intense. He kind of taught me how to take all the stuff that I was going through and put the emotions into the music, which I think was really pivotal for me, that I could use music as a tool to heal myself and to heal others. And I think, he was helping me do that at such a young age. He was having me sing like, India.Arie and Jill Scott tunes that are like, they're about like, one of them is like I'm Ready for Love by India.Arie, which is about her like being ready to have a partnership. And but I would sing that song to my mom. Aww. And he would have me sing it to her. She would come to my lessons, or my dad would come, and he would have me sing it to them like a foot or two away, looking at each other in the eyes. Like he would make me look at them in the eyes and sing this song, and I'd be like crying, just because. But it was such a powerful. I mean, it's so intense to think about now. As a 11 or 12-year-old getting made to do this, but it was so powerful because it felt like in those moments, one of the only ways that I had access to really communicating with my parents, and especially in these really hard moments with them. And so it really taught me like, oh yeah, music is such a powerful form of communication and a tool where I'm like, oh yeah, I can take all this hard stuff that I'm going through and put all of those feelings into what I'm singing.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's the universal language.
Yeah.
Wow, that kind of gave me goosebumps because I'm just picturing you like looking your mom in the eyes and that song is really powerful.
Yeah,
it's interesting because I think if like just a normal music teacher did that, it would be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
But the fact that he's a pastor, I mean, it is partially their role to kind of be that person, to be like a counselor too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Healer.
Yeah. That's
cool that he was there for you in that way.
Oh my God. Yeah.
He was helping you find your voice and find your voice. Like,
fully. Yeah. No, he like definitely one of the most influential people that has been in my life, and for music and the way that I came to music and my relationship to music. But yeah, just also as like a human in my life.
Wow.
What's his name?
His name is, I call him PG.
Shout out PG.
He always gets so many shout outs when people ask about my musical. I'm like, PG.
Yeah.
He's the man.
Well, I mean, it sounds like it'd be hard to overstate that.
Yeah.
You were developing your voice, but how did you come to start writing?
Well, so I like I was saying, I always wrote poems from when I was really young, and then I started a band with a guy who was, when I was 15, who was quite a bit older than me.
40.
He was like in his late 20s.
Oh wow.
Might as well be 40 when you're
I
a
was
teenager.
15.
Well, I mean, if your voice sounded like it does now, I mean, I get it.
Yeah, I think we met at the church and we were gonna like start a whole band, and then it was like, oh, maybe we should just do duo shows. Oh, maybe he was like in his early 20s because he was doing his college final show. What do they call
Like a
Recital?
His college recital. And he asked me to come sing, and it went really well. And then he was like, maybe we should be in a band together.
Yeah. So he was like mid-20s then, or like
Yeah.
early-ish.
What was the name of that group again?
Oh no.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Tell me.
Come on, Moorea.
It's called the Ruby Pines.
I'm sorry,
Ruby
say that one more time
Pines.
louder in the mic. What was
The
it?
Ruby Pines.
Ruby Pines. I'm getting flashback from the first recording we did,
yeah.
but this is an amazing story. I love this. It turned into like almost like these gatherings when you'd play, right?
Oh, yeah. We had a choir. For a lot of the shows that we were doing, we would have choirs.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was like polyphonic spree.
Yeah, and it was like all of our friends. We would just have these huge potlucks, and everybody, and it was kind of like
A cult.
Some people that could sing and some people that had never been on stage before.
Yeah.
And I actually have one of my best friends. She's a musician now and in a band of her own. And literally her first time ever on stage was like in one of the choirs. And so, you know, we talk about that. She's like, the first time I ever was on stage was with you. I was so nervous. Like she was like shaking before, you know, now she performs all the time. But yeah, we would have these like, it was really much more of a community thing.
Yeah.
And everybody would just come sing with us who
That's
wanted
so
to.
sweet.
And that was Portland, right?
Yeah, that's such a Portland thing. Yeah.
I love it.
But yeah, I think I remember one time, one show, I went back to my high school and I borrowed all the choir robes and we did a show and there was like 25 of our friends on stage with us in my old high school choir.
I love it.
That's really sweet.
It was really fun.
Any photos? I need to see stuff.
I do feel like I have some.
All right, I'm
photos.
going to hound you for one of those.
Oh, God.
That's so fun. And what kind of venues were you playing at that point?
I was playing all over Portland. Yeah. It's funny because when I turned 21, because I played for so long before I was able to actually be in any of the venues. I actually that's how I met my partner, my husband now, was on stage at a venue that the reason we met, I was opening for the Ruby Pines were opening for this band that my partner was playing in, and I had to stay on the edge of the stage the whole night. They wouldn't let me.
X's on your hands type of deal.
Yes, and they wouldn't let me leave this side of the stage, so I couldn't I could go to the bathroom, but I couldn't go into the bar area. I really had to just sit on the edge of and that was most my album release. I remember because I released a record when I was 16 or 17. Yeah. And I my record release, I had to stay literally. I just sat on the stage the whole show. I couldn't sell merch or I could talk to people from the edge of the stage. So when I turned 21, all the venues in town, I went with a group of my friends and we went to all the venues in town. And all the door people, they knew me and they were like, okay, you'll never get carded here again. I went to all the venues. I was like, I am 21 now.
Yeah, 21 now, bitch.
Yeah, I mean, that hasn't lasted, but new door people since then. But but
so funny.
Yeah.
That's so rad.
Yeah, that's great. The side stage thing. I always, I always wonder about that because there are a few teenage bands that play around LA a lot, and I'm always like, how? Because I guess you just sit on the stage and try not to feel awkward.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I don't know what it's like in California. In Oregon, the alcohol laws are really, really intense.
Oh, yeah.
Especially for underage performers. I'm not sure what it's like in California.
In LA, LA, they just kick you out. You're not allowed in the building. And then someone will walk you to the stage, you play your set, and then it's get out of here.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's what it's supposed to be like in Portland, but I think a lot of the venues felt bad for me. So they were
just you can stay and watch, but we're going to have a security guard right next to you.
Yeah. But you can literally, they'd set up a chair for me and I would sit side stage.
That's pretty cute.
I wish
That's nice,
yeah.
That's funny.
But wait, that's how you met your husband? Was you were on stage while he was playing?
Yes.
So wait, you call him Swati?
I call him Steve.
Steve.
Yeah,
Okay.
I guess other people call him Swati.
Is it Swati? What is that? Because I
think it's his nickname.
Oh.
Yeah, Swatkins is his band.
Oh, so
project.
Swati, I get it.
But I think some people call him Swati. But yeah, it's Steve.
Because that's what I think.
I call him Stevie, actually.
Stevie, because that's what I think I heard when we were on the road. I just kept on hearing Swati. And I'm
I think Will
okay.
calls him.
Shout out Will Blades.
Yeah. Calls him Swati. A lot of people call him Swati. I will never call him Swati. Yeah, that's way too weird for me.
No, that would be weird.
You.
Can't call your partner by their silly nickname.
Yeah.
If anything, it's babe.
Yeah. He gets a Stevie or a Pookie or a Schmoopy sometimes.
Schmoopy. Get out of here.
Not Swati though.
I draw the line. Yes. I draw the line at Swati.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the record you put out at 16. Where did you record?
That was a project with this band, the Ruby Pines, and we recorded a lot of it in Michael is his name, in his house. yeah, and again, it was like very like our friends came over and sang on it, and it's very DIY sounding,
Of
but it
course.
was very
Yeah.
DIY.
Yeah.
And is that so? You guys mostly did it yourselves. Did you even drums?
No drums.
Oh, no drums.
It was like
super
a folk.
vocal heavy.
It's folk, pretty
Yeah.
folky. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think like soulful folk. Like there was some kind of like I'm not singing quietly.
Yeah.
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 Oh, I
There's
love
a
your voice.
story behind Ruby Pines too. How'd the name come about?
There's not
There isn't?
really a story. I
There's
kind of thought
something.
like, I mean, he is very like quiet and kind of like at the time, definitely way more nature-y. And so the story that we kind of told ourselves was like, I'm the Ruby and he's the
Yeah.
Pines
Yeah.
a little bit.
That's it. Yeah. Ruby and the Pines.
Yeah. There was a Ruby Pins at one point that was like coming up in like the
Whoa.
Northwest, and I reached out to them being like, should we do a show together? But they
I
never
thought you
hit
were
me.
gonna be like, we're gonna kill you.
Then they didn't respond to me. So
So they were
Well,
like
screw them.
that.
yeah, screw
Yeah.
them. Yeah, Ruby Pins, I'm coming
Yeah.
for you.
Ruby pins, indeed.
Yeah.
I think it's really fun to see, how people evolve, because it sounds like it wasn't just a stylistic choice. You were also, like working within the constraints that you guys had. So
Yeah.
like, you didn't really have the ability to like record drums at home or whatever. So it's like, this is the record we can make right now. And then also, where your taste was in its development and all of that. So I think it's kind of cool to see like, this is like one iteration, and then what sort of like building your skills and maybe getting a little bit more resources can kind of like lead to. We're interviewing another gal today, and it was really interesting to listen to her old band, because it's like just really different, really different from what she does now. And I was like, I love it. I love that we have these different people inside us that we can kind of express in different iterations.
Oh, totally.
So sometimes it's like embarrassing to be like, oh, that was me back then, or whatever. You're hearing the production of it, but I think it's cool. I mean, that's kind of the point here, is for people to see like your growth and development.
Yeah. I mean, I think I was also really influenced by we had really different musical tastes. I came from this more soul R&B background, and he was definitely way more into folk music, and he showed me like a lot of folk and more like just blues music. And so I think that, and he was so much older than me, so I felt like I was kind of listening to his influences a lot. Mm-hmm. And then we started writing songs together that were way more like in the folky realm. And then when I left that band, I was like, who am I? And I was like, oh wait, I do actually just like more R&B, and I still have some folk influence in me, especially from him. Yeah, it's a lot different than what I do now, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the thing too, right? Is what different collaborators will bring out
100%.
versus what you just do on your own. And I mean, I think both are kind of valuable.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you were writing songs together.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. I think it's interesting too, like for you being like 15 or 16 and like writing with somebody who's, I mean, it feels funny to say now, but an adult.
Yeah.
Because like early 20s does not sound like an adult to me, but and I mean, having pretty different levels of life experience at that point.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, man, I definitely had some life experience at 15. So, I think more than most people my age.
Oh, I see. So,
Yeah.
okay. So maybe you were teaching him something.
Yeah, I feel that way. Yeah, I think I was. I think we were teaching each other for sure. Yeah, it was an interesting experience to write with him, definitely.
Yeah. Were you learning instruments, like finding your voice, like playing back then too?
Yeah, I played a little bit of guitar. Yeah, I mean, it kind of got weird between us after a while. We ended up really ending on not good terms. I haven't actually spoken to him in so long.
Shoot.
And part of it was because as I started to get older, I think I wanted to like learn guitar and kind of like branch out and like play with other people and like, he started getting really like kind of possessive, and then I was like, "Ooh, this is not good. I gotta get out. I gotta piece out of here." So, yeah, ended in like a really intense way, unfortunately.
That's always sad.
Yeah,
because it's like, come on,
yeah. It was like such a also very influential part of my growing up and like
your
my
first
musical.
band.
Yeah, it was my first band, and so it's sad. It's sad to not be connected to him anymore, but also definitely like as I got older, I kind of started to realize, that was not that was not cool. And he was so much older than me. He probably should have known better, but he didn't. I felt like it was kind of sad in the end. I felt like, we were starting to gain some success in Portland and just like, we're working with cool people and playing really cool shows. And I think there was this moment for him where he was like, either I put everything into this or I like go to like med school or something. It was very like for him, because he was older, there was kind of like, and I was like, I'm 18 and I'm still like figuring out who I am, and I'm gonna go to college and like be a human, and like figure out who I'm not ready to like put all my eggs into this.
Right. So he was ready to go all in, and you were like
hold it.
You were like, I want to try new things, and
I was still really in it with him, but I remember, this is like crazy. I'm like spilling the tea right now, but I remember a friend of mine asked me to go to a concert with him. A friend who was a musician in Portland at the time. And he asked me to go. I think he was asking me on a date, honestly.
Duh.
But
You're like, duh.
But Michael he was like, I can't believe you're going to go hang out with him. He's going to want you to play music with him, and then it's going to take away from our band.
What?
And I was like it was like very, I look back and I'm like, oh my God, red flag.
But he was truly scared.
Yeah, he was really genuinely scared. And I was like, I'm so in this band with you. What do you mean? Like, it was just I was like, I think he's just asking me on a date, bro. Calm down.
That's funny, because I feel like that is literally the opposite of the norm. Like, normally it would be like, that guy wants to go on a date with you.
Yeah.
And he's like,
that guy wants to play music with you.
I don't think he was like interested in me in that way at all. He had a girlfriend, it wasn't like that. He was just like, so much is riding his identity was like riding on being in a band with me. And I think it was the most success he had seen in music. And, I think he was like, you're my ticket. And I was like, that's intense.
Oh, yeah. That is intense.
Yeah. Also, like, it's just kind of not fair in a lot of ways.
Were you playing with other people at the time, though? Like, were you trying to start going out and...
No, I hadn't really started.
So...
I mean, it's funny, that guy did ask me to play music with him.
So he knew.
He did know, and I did end up playing a little music with him. And then I did end up getting in a band singing backup for another artist at the time. So, I mean,
you were just branching out.
I was just starting to. I mean, it was 18 at the time, when that. Yeah.
Well, I think that's, branching out is a totally appropriate thing to do on your musical journey.
Absolutely. At 18 especially.
Branching out from the pines.
At any point in your...
there we go.
Yeah,
branching out from the pines.
Yeah, truly the ruby in the pines.
Yes. Thank you, Terence.
Hey, they're just words.
Yeah.
They're just words. I just put them together. So when Ruby Pines split... like a log.
Yeah, come on.
I'll leave it to Terence. What did you do next?
Well, it's actually funny. I know. I mean, I just got married, so I'm definitely like in this storytelling mode about my love. But I think when I moved back from college, because I was living in England at the time, I moved back and I hit up Steve, my current husband.
Swatty.
Yeah, somebody calls him that. I hit him up being like, hey, should we get together and play music? Like, I felt like I was very like, oh, let me try playing music with all different kinds of people. And he was one of the people I was like, oh, it'd be great you're such a great musician. Let's get together and hang out and play music. And then we did, and then we fell in love. I think after that, I was really like, how can I get better at guitar? How can I how can I just be writing music on my own? And then I started playing with like kind of all different people. I was like really experimental. And then I started to play with kind of a set group of people, and that became the Mood. And the Mood now has been a lot of different people, but
I love that though, the Mood.
yeah.
I still have never seen you with Moorea Masa and the Mood.
Yeah.
Just you.
I mean, you saw me as a duo, so
Yeah,
you know,
but you told me the Mood was like up to like 10 people.
It can be like a seven piece band.
I want to see that.
It's really
That's
fun.
awesome.
Yeah, like the harmonies is my actually.
Of course.
That was another thing I did start to play with two of my girlfriends at the time, and actually one of the girls had just broken up with her partner and she was in a duo, and I had kind of just like left the duo situation that I was in, and we had always been singing together for a long time already, and she was in the choir, and so then we kind of like started doing this trio thing where we would all sing together and play different songs and play my songs and play some of their songs, and that was just like singing a bunch of harmonies together has always been.
I love 3-part harmonies. Are there any recordings of that?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are some videos I think online of that.
Oh, but
just a couple.
nice.
But nothing like on
love
Spotify or
videos.
anything.
No, we never made like a record. I mean, they're on. So then I released my own record after that. That was kind of like my first solo project, and they're on that record.
Nice.
What was the name of the trio?
It was just under my name at the time, and that's actually when I was like, I should come up with the Mood. That's when I came up with the Mood for the first time. I was like, God, I want to be able to, I want to be able to honor them and what they bring to this.
Right. Yeah, acknowledge that there's other people in the
Yes.
in the collective.
Yes.
That's cool. You kind of started like Moorea Masa, the musical entity, with this trio, and then how did that? And then did you just kind of like slowly start adding people, and that's how like the Mood happened?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a slow thing. I think for a minute I was like still doing kind of. I mean, that solo record that I put out was also pretty folky. It was kind of like some songs that I had written during the Ruby Pines days that I had recorded and that I had written, so I wanted to put them out. They were still pretty folky. And then after that I was like, you know, I feel like if I'm naturally writing music without thinking about like this band that I'm in and his like, you know, desires and the music that he likes, I write more R&B and soul music. That's the stuff. I mean, that's the way I've always sang. Even in the soulful realm, I was still singing, or in the folky realm, I was still singing soulfully. But I was like, yeah, the music I actually just really like listening to is just a lot more soul and R&B. So then I was like, what would it be like to have drums and bass? Because we never had a drummer in our bands. In the band before. So yeah, I hit up a drummer and a bass player and just was like, can we just get together and play and try this out? And started writing more soulful tunes. And that's kind of how that came to be.
So who were the first drummer and bassist?
My friend Chris, I'm honestly can't remember who the first. Oh, my friend Sam. My friend Sam and Chris. Yeah, they were great. Portland dudes.
They're just local musicians, you
Yes.
know? Nice.
Yeah, and then Steve played a lot with me.
I was going to say, doesn't your husband play with you now?
Yeah, he does. He's played with me kind of since then. We've been together.
I love that.
Yeah,
A
that's
couple
really
that plays
nice.
together stays together.
Yes. Definitely. Yeah, I sing in his band and he plays in my band, and so that's been really
That's
sweet.
adorable.
Yeah.
And I'm jealous.
It is a very sweet thing. It's gonna be nice.
Fun.
Yeah.
Is he all over the new record?
He is. Yeah, he is.
Sweet.
Yeah.
What was your recording situation for that first solo album? Was that kind of DIY as well?
I did it a lot in my friend's studio at the time. We did it all there. No, Woodburn. I forget even what his studio was called now because it's no longer. But yeah, he helped me record all of that.
That's so cool. Was there like a big R&B scene up in Portland?
No.
Oh,
I know, right?
That's a funny thing, right?
Yeah.
Like certain cities definitely have like a particular kind of music
Yeah.
scene. And if you're
Yeah.
not doing like, I mean, whatever, for example, like brass bands in New Orleans or something, if you're doing something else, sometimes it can be a little.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely has changed since then. There's a lot more R&B and soul. And I guess there was always some R&B and soul, but it's just like, it's definitely like a white town. It's like
Yeah.
a rock. It was a lot of rock and roll and folk and bluegrass and
Yeah.
like indie rock is a really big thing in Portland, you know, that's come out of Portland.
So I hear.
that's like the show.
Yeah. So there definitely exists. There's a lot of incredible musicians in the soul, like R&B realm. Some of our friends that play there, you know, like have played with all sorts of different soul musicians and kind of like live in Portland. But yeah, there's not as much of a scene as there is like in LA.
Is that why you came to LA?
It's a big part of why I came to LA.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I came to LA because we had been coming to LA and started kind of forming this community down here. And big part was this artist, Raquel Rodriguez. I don't know if y'all know her. She's
I don't.
amazing. Shout out to Raquel.
Show
and
notes. Show notes.
Blue Dream Studios.
Nice.
Yeah, and we came down here in 2019 and we stayed for 2 months in their back house, and they have a beautiful recording studio on their property.
Sweet.
And I kind of made a record there. And with some of my friends Jess and Connor. And then the pandemic happened and their spot opened up again, and they were like, hey, do you want to move to LA? Do you want to come move into our back house? And we were like, yeah, we're never going to find a situation this dope in LA. Super affordable. It's on this gorgeous recording studio. Like, that sounds like the perfect place to
What?
be kind of
Yeah.
like holed up.
Oh, so this was right after the pandemic?
Yeah, it was like, we moved in like October 2020 or something.
Oh wow.
Oh,
yeah.
what?
to LA.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we were like,
That
that's
is
a perfect
ideal.
place to
That was
be
prime
like,
time moving. Yeah.
Yeah.
kind of holed up, like, you know, at a studio with our close friends. And
Yeah.
Again, I'm jealous.
yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
And so that was a big reason we moved to LA. And
It's a little nudge from the universe.
yes.
Being like, go.
Yeah.
And that's where you recorded Heart in the Wild?
Yeah, I recorded a lot of it there, and then I recorded it a lot at my friend Jess and Connor's studio. They were kind of producing it.
So, all right, before we get too far along, I know you
Bring us
can't.
back,
I know
Rose.
you can't play right now because you've
Yeah.
got your beautiful wedding nails.
I know,
Yeah.
it's crazy. They're coming off like any day now.
Oh, we got to take a picture for the show notes for sure.
Yeah.
We will.
But I mean, do you have like a recording or something you want to send us? I just want to set up if you want to introduce the song.
This is one that we would do with the choir. It's kind of like an old bluesy. So you have to imagine like a lot of other singers with me.
Done.
Okay.
Any kind of percussion, or it was just straight up acapella?
Just a
It
cappella.
was just a cappella and guitar. Well, no, maybe I had guitar.
Hmm.
No, actually, this song I don't think I had guitar.
I love acapella because that's like so much harder in my head. You know, just being able to start on a key and end on the same key sounds
Yeah.
impossible to me.
It is.
You know what I
It is a form of magic for sure.
So this is a Ruby Pine song. Mm-hmm. And what's it called?
I'm gonna make you mine. Oh, in the moment's right, I'm gonna make you mine. We'll build a house all from scratch down by the riverside. Oh, in the moment's right, I'm gonna make you mine. We'll play out back in the swimming hole. The river of dreams is all we know. Oh, in the moment's right, I'm gonna make you mine. We'll strum to me under the trees. We'll sing together in harmony. Oh, in the moment's right, I'm gonna make you mine. You wait for me and I wait for you. Together we will do what we were born to do. Oh, in the moment's right, I'm gonna make you mine. And then there was a lot of
Yeah.
That's amazing. And Then there was a lot of what?
Then there was a lot of like improvised, like, wow,
the guns and stuff.
Yeah.
things while the choir
I
went
love
on.
it.
Oh, yeah.
It was
Well,
very
I
fun.
love it. It
I
definitely,
love it too. You're so talented.
Definitely feel the gospel roots.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of like, I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield
Down by the riverside. Yeah, there's a little nudge to that. Yeah.
Totally.
You know, it's such a beautiful song because it's like kind of you hearkening your musical voice and career being like, I'm going to make you mine. Like you're just finding it and calling it to you. It's kind of beautiful that way.
It's gospel, but
Yeah.
sexy.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I was definitely envisioning the other voices too.
Yeah.
I
And everyone would do runs at that part and
Yeah,
stuff.
at the
like,
end,
yeah.
everybody would kind of go off. And then
Fun.
Yeah, so fun.
kind
Oh,
of,
cool.
Yeah.
Would the crowds go nuts for that?
I mean, yeah, it was really cool to have a choir. I don't feel
Yeah.
like people were used to that.
No, I mean, my God, I can't imagine going to a local show in Los Angeles
I know.
with a choir because,
Silver Lake Chorus, remember?
well, yeah, one of my good friends was a
Yeah,
part of that.
Ben, yeah.
But, oh, that's right. You know, I forget Terrence knows everybody. LA people are so hard to get to like show up for anything.
Oh, yeah.
That the idea that you would have like
Like 14 people show up.
10 friends come up and sing with you and like
Yeah.
remember
For
everything.
free.
Like,
You know, we would like
That's
feed
awesome.
them.
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of
nice.
like this. I mean, it was really beautiful, and it was a community thing. You know, everybody
Yeah.
was like,
It's like
and
your
anybody
the barbecues.
anybody that wanted to come could come. You know,
That's so awesome.
That's true. And like that one person, I bet there were others that it was their first
oh yeah,
venture into music and setting foot on stage.
definitely. You know, which sometimes was like kind of funny, but we did have enough friends that were like good at singing and could like
Yeah.
hold it down, that even if there was somebody like singing out of tune
Yeah.
next to them, like there
Somebody's
was
just
enough people
mouthing,
like
yeah.
holding it down, which
Right.
was really cool.
That's
right in
nice.
a live setting, it doesn't necessarily stick out as bad.
Choirs are funny like that, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like if you've, I don't know about you guys, but if you've ever been in a church or school choir, there's at least
Oh, yes.
there's at least
Yep.
I would say 20% of the people that like may not even be singing at all.
Oh,
They're
no,
just
yeah.
mouthing the
You just-
words
yeah.
Yeah,
because
there
they're
might have
like,
been that.
I don't really want to sing. My mom made me do this.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Anyway, that's pretty magical, and I
Yeah.
do feel like that's like one of the nice things about Portland that is less of a thing here. Is it's like
Yeah.
kind of smaller and chiller, and
Yeah, it was more. Yeah, I do feel really grateful that was my musical upbringing in a way, because I feel like, you know, we were a lot of the bands that I played with. It was like we were all kind of doing shows together and collaborating, and it was very community vibes.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't. And I feel that way here in LA. Actually, I think LA gets a bad rap for like being competitive, and there is that exists here, I'm sure.
For sure,
I just
yeah.
haven't found that yet. I've find that the community that I'm a part of is really, really supportive of one another.
It's your vibe.
That's really nice.
You put off a
Yeah.
good. It's the backyard barbecue vibe. Like you just include people, and then people want to be around you.
That's I do really. I think that's like also just the way that I was raised. You know, like community
Yeah.
is really, really important
super
to me,
important.
and I think especially as independent artists, we like very much have to take care of one another, and we have to look out for one another. All of my gigs have come from me because I'm friends with somebody, or you know, it's like that's the way. We all need each other. We all have to
Absolutely.
lift each other up. We can't do it on our own.
yeah,
It's too much.
Yeah, then there's sort of the favor economy amongst artists too, like where you're like, well, you know, if you play bass on my track, I'll come do whatever on yours. Or
sure.
like, yeah, or actually, that reminds me. So speaking of artistic collaboration, I wanted to talk a little bit about the folks that you made some of your videos with, because I think I remember reading, you know, you were talking about like the process of making these videos and how that was a very like community activity too.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, during the pandemic, it kind of started. I had an amazing group of friends in Portland, who are all incredibly artistic. And I was like, I've never done a lot of music videos before. And they were like, we want to do all your art for you for this record. And
wow.
we all just worked together, like, and everybody was just like, it's mid-pandemic and we're all bored and want an artistic outlet. And so I feel really lucky that they were all kind of like, let's do it together. And I worked it was all like pretty much we're all BIPOC femme folks, and everybody was like, let's make a bunch of art. And so we did a bunch of music videos together, where it was just very cool to be like, oh, everybody working on this is femme and BIPOC, and that's I think in that world it's really hard to come across, especially in the film world.
Yeah,
sets and to have, one video I did was like there were 20 people working on it, and it was all femme folks and a lot of queer folks, like pretty much exclusively BIPOC. Like, yeah, so it was very cool vibe to have that. And
explain to me BIPOC. I don't know what that is.
Black, Indigenous, person of color. Yeah,
I don't think I've ever heard that said like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty common term, just to refer mostly to people of color. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Thank you. I learned something on every episode.
Let us know for the people in the Midwest and Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, your videos look great. Like a lot of your, like, I guess visual media is really great. Like the video for Honey, and there's a photo set where you're in this like black bathtub with all these plants.
Oh yeah,
it's all like very lush and colorful.
Yeah, my friend Zandy, shout out to Zandy. She does an incredible job working with flowers, and she put all those sets together. She actually just did all the flowers at our wedding.
Oh, nice.
Oh, community.
Yes, no, truly. I mean, yeah, we all just are helping each other out. But yeah, she's an amazing like set designer and also florist, and she did both those videos actually.
Cool.
I guess that's only one video.
So,
but yeah.
So help me out with the timetable, because you moved to LA in October 2020.
Yeah.
And you were working on the Heart in the Wild album then.
A little bit before that.
Because you were working on some of the videos before.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Before we moved, and then actually I flew Zandy down, and a couple of my friends who were working on those videos with me, I flew a couple of them down to LA just to work with me on those, because they're kind of like, it's hard for me to get, I have this groove with them, and it's been really hard to do things without them. I really love working with them
100%.
so
I love
much.
that, though.
100%. When you
Yeah.
find your people, it's really hard to branch out, because it's like, why would I do that? We already speak the same language.
Yes.
And like, I already, like have this trust.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about Heart in the Wild a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, that was a record I put out in 2021. Yeah, and it was a pretty vulnerable and like emotional record. I wrote it about my relationship with my mom. She's a Black woman. Suffers from a lot of mental illness, and we have a really tough relationship, and mostly it's because I've seen her just kind of like lose herself over the last many years. And she's, really at this point pretty far gone, unfortunately. And so I wrote this record kind of about a lot of that grief that I was experiencing, and also just so yeah, that was a tough record to release and put out, but I was glad that I did it. And yeah, and now I just finished this record recently that it was cool to put out that record. But it was heavy. And then, I was performing a lot of these songs that were really heavy, and I was just constantly in that place. And I went to write this record and was like, especially with the pandemic and all these things, it just feels like we've been bombarded with so much really intense, hard stuff over the last couple years.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, I was in this space where I was just like, that record was so important for me to write. It was really healing in a lot of ways, but it was intense to go into that space all the time. And it was pre-pandemic, and I felt ready and open to kind of dive into those topics. And in this moment, I'm like, man, so much of our daily lives, it feels like I'm just trying to survive. I'm trying to just like wake up and like be a human and like feel good about being a human in this life, you know, because it's really hard, right? I feel like it's been really hard. And we're just always bombarded with it seems like every other day there's a tragedy or, you know, something that our nervous systems are dealing with. And so, yeah, it was really important for me to do that. It was really healing. And I felt like a really big part of my healing in this moment is actually just like leaning into the things that bring me joy and are, you know, that's like also just a very valid and important way of healing. And actually that joy, especially as like a queer mixed person in this world, you know, that my joy is actually a part of resistance, a part of healing for everybody, I think, is experiencing my joy and my pleasure and finding ease in my life. So that's kind of like the new record is all about that. I said, what if I wrote a record that would bring me joy when I listen to it, that could, you know, that could be that aid for other people, which I've never really done. A lot of my music has been kind of more sad music. And so I was like, what if I just, you know, and it's not like it's not that it's not deep. It's just about joy and ease and pleasure. And I kind of felt like those were the main topics that I wanted to write about and I wanted to explore. So I kind of wrote this like upbeat record about joy.
Love
So, yeah, I mean,
that's super
the
deep,
first
you know?
single is literally Joyful, right?
It's called Joyful. Yeah, and that tune was really like I had written all these other songs, and I was like, what if I wrote a song that I just like? This was like my mission statement. Like I just really said it very in plain words, you know, like what I want to say, and just keep it simple. And I think, you know, a lot of times I would be writing a song and it would kind of like start to lose, you know, not lose that, but just it would start to be like a side topic. And I was like, what if I just said it directly? So I wrote that one. And then this song that's coming out is called When the Summer Calls. And that one is like definitely my most upbeat song I've ever written. And it's about just kind of, you know, I think when we're so comfortable in the hardship and something good is happening, I think a lot of times we don't want to trust that it's good or that it can last or that it can be sustainable. So we kind of are like bracing ourselves
For the other shoe to drop.
Yeah, and it's like, why can't we just be like, this is this good thing happening and really enjoy it and not be afraid of the other side of it, you know?
Yeah. Right. Like this, yes, it may be ephemeral and everything changes, but let's just like experience the joy while it's happening.
That's nice.
I love that. I love that you kind of wrote like a reaction record to your own record.
Yeah, that's what honestly, that's what it feels like. But it's also just like a part of my life, you know, like that was really a moment where I was diving into these topics. And, you know, when you're writing all the time, it's like you're in that space so deeply. Like I was really, and you know, I'm also in this period where it was like things were actually have been really tough with my mom recently. And I was like, I don't actually have space to write about this, you know, like it's just, I'm not one of those people that it's hard for me to write about hardship when it's happening. I feel like I have to have space.
Have to have a little distance
to write about it. Yeah,
that makes total sense to me. I mean, I also think that there's something to, you know, there's like the processing period, right? There's like the point where you need to dive into the dark stuff and confront it. I think I read this in an interview yesterday when I was doing my little Google on you, but you said something to this effect about how, you know, being joyful is part of the process too. Yeah. Like it's not ignoring, it's like embracing the new.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I think that, you know, some people, they want to like bypass hardship and that's not what I want to do. I'm not like, you know, like everything's good, man, and joyful all the time. But I think for me in this process, it's really been like, does this, I've been asking myself, can this be easeful? Is there a more joyful way of doing this? And I think that just asking that question has been really transformative for me because there were so many times, even just in the recording process, where it was like, I would go in and I would start to record lead vocals and I would just not be hitting it, It would be like, and I was frustrating myself, and then I would kind of like push it a little bit, and then, and then I would come in the next day and nail the song in 30 minutes or an hour or something, and it was just like, why am I pushing? Why am I forcing this thing? Can it be more easeful? Can it feel good? And that there's actually something to learn about when it feels good, and like, oh yeah, this feels hard. Is this the right thing? And sometimes hard things are good for us, but I also think there's a lot to listen to. Like, if it's really hard, why, and I'm not enjoying this, why am I doing it? And can I find other ways that don't have to feel so forced? And so I think that that's just been something I've been really, really trying to listen to and let guide me. Nice. And because I am really comfortable with hardship. I've lived in a lot of hardship in my life, and I know it very intimately. And so
that's beautiful. That's and I resonate with that too. It's kind of like, it's going to be hard when it's hard. Find the joy and let that inspire and guide you.
Well, also it's Joy's turn.
It's Joy's turn.
Yeah.
It's Joy's turn. You had your time with this hardship, and you probably will again, because that's life. But this is the moment. I mean, you said something too about, making something that people can connect with and experience that. And I think that writing songs about joy and writing things that are uplifting is just as much of a sort of community service for people to see themselves in or feel seen as writing about something sad.
Definitely.
Because, a lot of times when you write like a hardship record, a lot of people are going to connect with it because they have somebody in their family with mental illness or whatever it is, the thing you're writing about. They struggled with addiction, et cetera. And that's great. But then it also is a lot of weight on you to also keep performing this. Like, you're touring all the time, like playing these songs night after night. I just listened to a podcast that was kind of about this, about how like in therapy, you don't always want to talk about what's wrong. Sometimes you need to talk about what's right.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, because they used the word rumination. We're just like continuously ruminating on the sad thing can actually just sort of prevent you from moving on and healing. I was like, wow.
That's deep.
Damn, I know, because I thought therapy was just about talking about your problems.
No, but it's true, and I feel that way in this moment. I was like, I actually don't have capacity to go to that place, and I think I had felt like being a musician, you had to really talk about the real stuff, and it's like, well, actually, not that this is, and a friend of mine told me early on when I started writing the songs, he was like, it's not going to not be deep. It's you writing it.
Yeah.
Right.
You always put, and I've felt that in this experience. I was like, oh my God, all these songs about joy and pleasure have like taught me so much. There's some of the deepest songs that I've written, and that's
beautiful.
I hope that they come across that way. I don't know that. I mean, I hope that you can feel that when you listen to the songs. It's yet to be determined. They're not released, but I feel that when I listen to them. So I hope that that's what comes out of it.
Yeah.
Nice, yeah.
Well, I mean, I think, like that your friend is very wise to say that.
Yeah.
Like, well, it's not going to, I mean, and also joy fundamentally isn't shallow, but right, it's still your voice. But, I think just the fact that you're experiencing a lot of like highs and lows in this short period of time. I mean, getting married, dealing with your mom, putting out an album, moving, all these things are like, for good and bad, like very intense. And I think it's just like kind of a testament to how all these things can exist at the same time. Like
Truly.
we all contain multitudes.
Absolutely. 100%.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a little bit of a left turn, but not really, because we were talking about your wedding. You guys played like a wedding show, kind of, in Portland.
Yeah, we did. The week before, we played at the place that we met.
That's so
We
amazing.
went back at the Goodfoot and
shout
played a show, and that
I wish
was.
I could have been there.
I know it would have been so good to have
This time
you.
you got to walk all over the place.
Yes, exactly.
You didn't have to stay on the stage the whole time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you
it
wanted to
was-
stay on stage the whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
How was that magical?
Oh, it was so magical. Yeah, we had like friends fly in and like, I don't know, it was like felt like the start of what was the most magical week of my life. And it was like a perfect way to start it out.
That's
And
awesome.
we also, we did meet there, but we used to have a residency there. It's a
a lot of
venue that
history.
we're like, we have a lot of history with. So it was really cool to come back and just kind of be like old times. And
Oh, I love that.
Full circle.
No, I saw that on Instagram. I was like, that is the sweetest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
it was very sweet.
I mean, I think that's like cool too, like making, your wedding like your experience too.
So what's next?
Yeah.
There's a song coming out called Distraction.
Okay.
It's about kind of like what we've been talking about, but even in a more trashy way.
Trashy.
That also, that like this song kind of for me is about, healing in all different types of valid ways. And this song is about, that it's good to go to therapy and take bubble baths and do yoga and meditate and all these things. And then sometimes it's equally as important to lay on your couch and watch Love Island for hours.
I did see that in an interview you gave, and I was like, yes, drink wine and eat cookies and watch trash TV.
Yes.
You know what?
That is also
I never thought
self-care.
I'd say this, but I like Bravo.
Bravo can also be self-care.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I really feel, I was talking about it with my therapist the other day because I was telling her, I was like, sometimes to go into the hardship, it's like, it will just knock me out if I fully, that like that disassociating gets a bad rap, but that there's some like intentional disassociating, or like not disassociating, but like attentional numbing out that actually I think is really valid and healthy. And I was like talking about it with my therapist, because I was like, I really feel like sometimes just watching trash TV and eating and
just being
and just like smoking some weed or whatever it is.
Sometimes your brain needs a break.
Sometimes that's so helpful and healing for me. And she was saying, like in a lot of these more like spiritual community or whatever, it's kind of like looked down upon.
Yeah, it's like
to
poo-pooed,
do.
yeah.
But I mean, I think it's just
self-care.
like, yeah, but I think it's a really valid form of self-care,
Same.
But I think in a lot of like new agey sort of stuff, it's like, put away your TV and go outside. And, I think that's also very important, but it's like, it's balance. So anyway,
Right.
Totally.
this song is about the trash TV.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a
Nice.
song about
Love
trash
it.
Well,
TV.
it's called Distraction.
That's
And,
it.
yeah.
Oh, are we gonna hear it right now?
Yep.
Sure.
Here we go.
Watching reruns on repeat. Self-help books, stay home, I drink. Fill my car and smoke some weed. Coming up for air, cause I've been so deep. I don't need another heart to heart. Did my therapy, I let it fall apart. Now working on it is working on me. Working on me. Just give me a distraction. Some call it denial, baby, I call it balance. I'm taking space, I'm taking action. Give me a distraction. Not sorry if my healing ain't up to your satisfaction. Give me a distraction, yeah. Just give me a distraction, baby. 1, 2, 3. Reminiscing, take me back. Forget how loud they can make me laugh. Take me out, cause I need to dance. Put some sugar on it, yeah. I don't need Not sorry if my healing ain't up to your satisfaction. Give me a distraction, yeah. Spend all day undercover if I wanna. Throw all my clothes in a pile in a corner. Work all day just to pay my bills, but today I'm wet and not with tears. Just give me a distraction. Just give me a distraction. Is it you or is it you? Just give me a distraction. Just give me a distraction. Just give me a distraction.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh. Very exciting.
Thank you.
Before we go, I wanted to ask you to just real quick tell us about some of those charities that you're involved with, because we talked a lot about like mental health and self-care.
Please.
Yeah. Well, I'm not necessarily like involved, but these are charities that I have worked with before, or not charities, but organizations. One of them is called Backline, which I love, and they work specifically with musicians. You can go to them and be like, I need a therapist, and they put you with a caseworker, and the caseworker will interview you about what you're looking for, and then we'll send you a list of therapists that are available that kind of match your needs, which in this moment, I think it can be really hard. Finding a therapist is like dating, and that's just hard.
Oh God, they don't even email you back. It's crazy.
Yeah. And so these therapists are also people that are versed in the music world. So
that's cool.
So yeah, which I've definitely gone to a lot of therapists, and I've tried to explain to them my lifestyle, and they're
And
like,
they're like,
"Wow,
"What?"
that's
Yeah.
great. No wonder you're having a hard time."
You're a mess.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, this is my job, So it's people that are versed in that, and then they also work with Black Mental Health Alliance, which is an organization that I really love. They work with a lot of BIPOC therapists, and they help pair BIPOC folks with BIPOC therapists, which also in my work and in a lot of the work that I have done, I was helping folks try to find therapists, especially, and I was really, it was a lot of Black and brown therapists have waiting lists that are so long and are all booked up. And so I found this organization incredibly helpful, and really, really value what they're doing. So those are two that I really love.
That's awesome.
And what about Radical Rest?
Radical Rest is a really great organization in Portland. I'm not sure how much they're doing these days. I know that they're still around, but they were putting out days where people were donating their time, and Black and brown folks who were part of the resistance movement in Portland could sign up for care, for therapy, for physical body work, for acupuncture, for, I was like offering voice lessons at some point. Like it was just like all sorts of people that were donating their time and energy to people working in the movement. And they would have these kind of like, maybe it was like 3 days that you could sign up for one of these things. And it was just, it was called Radical Rest, and they're amazing.
That is incredible. And what an amazing way for people to give back.
Right.
Without being like on the front lines. In fact, everybody start one of these in your city. That sounds so amazing. Even though there's not huge active protests right now, there's still plenty of people doing a lot of very hard work.
Still.
Yes.
We're going to obviously include links to all of these things in the show notes because these sounds like amazing organizations.
They really are.
And dang, I guess we're out of time, but Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
We're really excited about your new album.
I'm so excited. Yeah.
I think you're going on tour again.
Yeah, I'm going on tour
Nice.
this fall. There's a bunch of dates. You can check them out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Show notes,
Sweet.
show notes,
See you at the show.
All right. Well,
Thanks for
thank
coming
you
back.
so much.
Seriously, I appreciate you. I won't
having
let this one catch on fire. I'll mix it immediately.
Back it
and
up.
Back it up 4 times.
Yes.
Back it up. Back it up.
Back it up.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye, Moorea.
I really want more chapters of Radical Rest to pop up. That is important work. I also think dissociation gets a bad rap. Sometimes you just gotta lay on the couch and scroll, am I right? Her awesome new song, Distraction, comes out December 1st, which is in just a couple days. If you're in Southern California, you can catch one of her last few shows of the year. She's finishing up her tour with Proxima Parada with 3 more nights. That's November 30th in Santa Barbara, a single release show on December 1st at the legendary Echo in Los Angeles, and December 2nd in San Luis Obispo. She's also playing New Year's Squeeze in West Hollywood with The Main Squeeze, which looks like it's going to be a blast. So follow her on her socials for all the details. Follow us too. As always, we link to all the things in our show notes, including the random stuff we talk about during the episode, and most especially the mental health organizations that Moorea mentioned, because that shit is important. We would really appreciate it if you would follow/subscribe to the pod on your preferred platform. And while you're at it, rate and review us. This is how we get boosted in the algorithm, and that really helps us. So thanks, and we'll see you next week.